This audiobook reveals the forgotten power hidden inside you, the sacred force that creates your reality. When you manifest with awareness, the universe listens. This is the awakening of the sacred power, and your time to manifest has come. Your forgotten power. Introduction. In the whispers of ancient winds, a tale has been carried through generations, a story of a merchant named Rashid who lived in a distant land. Each morning he would rush through the marketplace, his breath shallow and hurried, seeking wealth and recognition. Though his coffers grew full, his spirit remained empty. One dawn, as he hastened past an old well, a mysterious figure sat in stillness. "Why do you run from the very force that gives you life?" the sage asked. Rashid paused for the first time in years, noticing how his chest heaved with anxiety. The universe speaks through your breath. It is the first gift you received, and will be the last you surrender. Yet somewhere between your first breath and this moment, you forgot its sacred power. You learned to breathe small, to contain yourself, to exist within the boundaries others set for you. But the breath you seek has never left. It flows through you now, as it did when stars first sparked into being. This eternal current connects you to all that was, is, and will be. Every inhalation draws in the same air that sustained ancient masters. Every exhalation releases you into infinite possibility. Your breath holds the key to transformation. When you breathe fully, you step into alignment with the cosmic law of attraction. Each conscious breath becomes a prayer. Each mindful moment an invitation for abundance. The breath is your bridge between worlds, between thought and manifestation, between desire and reality. It carries your intentions into the fabric of existence. When you breathe with awareness, you command the very forces that shape reality. Take a deep breath now. Feel how it fills not just your lungs, but your entire being. This is the breath that prophets and mystics use to part seas and move mountains. It awaits within you, ready to awaken powers long dormant. Part 1. The Awakening of the Sacred Breath. Chapter 1. The Whisper in the Silence. In a village where mist clung to ancient stones, there lived a wise woman named Evelyn. Her cottage, among herbs and flowering vines, drew those who sensed deeper truth stirring in their souls. One such seeker was a young wanderer who appeared at her door as morning dew still sparkled. Without words, Evelyn led her visitor to a weathered bench beneath an elder tree. "Breathe," she whispered, "but not as you've been taught." Her hands moved like gentle waves, showing the rhythm of nature's own breath. First, find the silence between thoughts. You too must understand this sacred truth. Breath is the original prayer, the first language of creation. Before words were written, before temples were built, your ancestors knew that breath was the bridge between spirit and matter. Each inhalation draws in universal life force. Each exhalation shapes reality itself. When you breathe unconsciously, scattered and shallow, you speak to the universe in fragments and whispers. But when you breathe with intention, you communicate in the original tongue of creation. This is why masters of old began their practices not with incantations or rituals, but with the simple act of conscious breathing. As the sun rose higher, Evelyn guided her student to a grove of ancient oaks. "Now," she said, "breathe with the trees." The young one watched as leaves danced in the morning light, their gentle swaying matching the rhythm of earth itself. Slowly, deliberately, she aligned her breath with their movement. Something extraordinary began to unfold. As her breath found harmony with the forest's rhythm, the branches seemed to bend toward her ever so slightly. Birds called in perfect timing with her exhalations. The very air around her became charged with possibility. This mirrors the truth you must embrace. When your breath aligns with the natural order, the world responds in kind. The universe recognizes this primordial language and reflects back your intentions with perfect clarity. Sacred breathing practice. Find a quiet space where you won't be disturbed, a sanctuary where the world's clamor cannot reach you. Sit comfortably with your spine straight but not rigid, as though an invisible thread draws you upward toward the heavens. Let your eyes close gently, releasing the distractions of the visible world. For 3 minutes, breathe slowly and deeply, allowing each breath to flow like water finding its natural course. Focus your attention on the sacred pause between each breath, the moment of perfect stillness after you exhale and before you inhale again. This divine interval, though brief, holds profound wisdom. In this space between breaths, you touch the infinite, connecting with the vast ocean of consciousness that has existed since time immemorial. Let each breath become a conversation with the universe, a remembrance of your original nature, an awakening to the timeless rhythm that has guided seekers throughout the ages. Feel how your very essence resonates with this ancient practice, as though your soul recognizes a long-forgotten truth. Chapter 2. The Breath Before Thought. In the quiet hills where wisdom whispers through tall grass, there lived a child named Clara. You see, children possess a sacred knowledge that the world has not yet taught them to forget. Clara's gift was the ancient rhythm of peace-bringing breath, though she knew not what she carried within her. In her home, where tension often crackled like static before a storm, Clara would sit in her favorite corner by the window. As arguments brewed between adults, she would naturally fall into a gentle breathing pattern, the same rhythm that moves through flowers as they open to morning light. Those who entered her space found their own breath unconsciously matching hers, their anger dissolving like mist in sunlight. You too once knew this rhythm. Before the world taught you its hurried patterns, before worry sculpted your breath into shallow gasps, you breathed with the wisdom of stars. Your earliest breath patterns were shaped by those around you, perhaps quick and anxious from a worried parent, or steady and deep from a calm caregiver. These became the unconscious templates that now guide your daily breath. But the divine breath pattern lies dormant within you, waiting. It is not lost, merely veiled by years of learned breathing. Like a stream flowing beneath winter ice, it moves still, carrying ancient wisdom. Years later, Clara returned to that same house, now grown but carrying that childhood wisdom in her bones. The home had changed hands, yet discord still lingered in its walls. Standing in her old corner, she closed her eyes and remembered. The breath came to her as naturally as it had in childhood, steady, soft, like summer wind through wheat fields. And just as before, something shifted in the air. The new family, caught in their own cycles of discord, felt an inexplicable peace settle over them. Clara had accessed what you too can reclaim, the original breath pattern that speaks directly to the soul. Now close your eyes. Remember a moment from your youth when peace flowed through you naturally, perhaps lying in grass watching clouds or sitting by water, or in the safe embrace of a loved one. Allow your breath to move as it did then, free from the weight of years. Feel how your body remembers this ancient rhythm, this first language of peace. This is your inheritance, your original breath, waiting to awaken once more. Chapter 3. The Forgotten Gate. In the heart of an ancient city, where time seemed to flow differently, stood a small shop filled with the gentle symphony of ticking clocks. Here worked Walter, a master of timepieces whose fingers knew the pulse of every gear and spring. His silence was not born of unfriendliness, but of deep communion with something beyond the mechanical march of minutes. You see, Walter understood what few have glimpsed, that between each tick and tock lies an eternal moment, a space where possibility dwells. One afternoon, as shadows lengthened across his workbench, a wanderer entered his shop, seeking a simple watch repair. What this visitor received instead was a glimpse into the mechanics of reality itself. Through the rhythmic dance of his breath, Walter demonstrated how each moment contains infinite space. As he worked, his breath moved in perfect harmony with the clicking of his beloved timepieces. "Watch," he whispered, breaking his customary silence. "Between each tick, there is a universe." The truth Walter revealed is this: your breath holds the power to expand time itself. When you breathe consciously, you step outside the rushing current of minutes and hours. Each breath becomes a key, unlocking doorways to dimensions that exist between moments. In the subtle space between inhale and exhale, you access the quantum field where all possibilities exist simultaneously. This is where manifestation begins, not in the doing, but in the space between actions. Your breath creates these spaces, these sacred pauses where reality can be reshaped. Later that evening, as twilight painted the shop windows in violet hues, Walter guided his visitor in a remarkable experiment. Together they sat among the symphony of ticking clocks, and Walter taught the art of breathing between seconds. "Listen," he instructed, "not to the ticks themselves, but to the silence between them." As they practiced, something extraordinary occurred. The space between the ticks seemed to stretch, creating pockets of infinite potential. The visitor discovered that within these expanded moments, insights arose with crystal clarity, and intentions took root with supernatural speed. Now find a clock with an audible tick. Sit quietly and align your breath with its rhythm. Inhale for 3 ticks, hold for 2, exhale for 4, hold for 2. As you settle into this pattern, begin to focus on the space between the ticks. Feel how time expands in these intervals. Notice how your consciousness spreads into these spaces, where the seeds of creation wait to be awakened by your breath. This is the watchmaker's secret, the knowledge that breath is not merely air moving through lungs, but the very key to unlocking the doors of time and possibility. In these spaces between seconds, you will find the workshop where reality is crafted, one conscious breath at a time. Chapter 4. You are the portal. In the misty hills where wisdom whispers through ancient pines, there lived a woman named Ruth. Her hands had welcomed countless souls into the world, yet she lived apart from the village she served. Those who sought her out found her tending her herb garden, where each plant seemed to bow in rhythm with her breath. One stormy night, a desperate knock echoed through her cottage. A young woman stood at the threshold, her eyes clouded with grief. Ruth recognized in her the weight of a mother's loss, a pain deeper than words could touch. Without speaking, Ruth guided her visitor to sit beside the hearth. "Each breath you draw," Ruth spoke softly, "is a gateway between worlds. It is the first and purest prayer spoken before you knew words." She demonstrated, drawing air in slowly, showing how the breath could be shaped like clay in a potter's hands. The universe understands this language better than any other. Your breath carries a vibration that ripples through the fabric of existence. When you inhale, you draw in not just air, but the very essence of life force. Each exhale sends forth your deepest truth into the world. This is why ancient traditions began and ended all sacred acts with breath. It is the bridge between intention and manifestation. The science of vibration reveals that everything in existence moves in waves, including thought and emotion. Your breath, when consciously directed, becomes the conductor of this cosmic symphony. It can transform the densest grief into the highest vision, the deepest fear into the brightest hope. Later that night, Ruth led the grieving mother to her garden. Under the stars, she taught her to breathe with purpose, to transform her pain into a vision of healing. "Let each breath be an offering," Ruth instructed. "Feel how your body becomes an altar, sanctifying every moment with conscious breath." As the moon rose higher, the young woman's breathing changed. Her tears still fell, but now they watered seeds of new possibility. Through the gate of her breath, she began to envision a future beyond her loss. Sacred practice. Find a quiet space and light a single candle. Allow its flame to steady your gaze. Draw breath slowly, as if drinking in light itself. Hold one intention in your heart. Let it be clear and pure. With each inhale, feel this intention drawing closer. With each exhale, visualize it passing through the sacred gate of your breath into manifestation. Continue until the intention feels as real as the flame before you. Chapter 5. The Unseen Law. In the heart of an old music conservatory worked George, a piano tuner whose fingers read vibrations like others read books. Though his eyes had never known light, he perceived the world through waves of sound and breath that most could not detect. You see, George understood a truth that had been whispered through the ages. Reality itself resonates at specific frequencies, much like the strings of his beloved pianos. Each morning, before touching a single key, he would sit in perfect stillness, allowing his breath to align with the natural hum of the universe. When you breathe with awareness, you tune the instrument of your being. This is the forgotten key to manifesting your desires. The law of attraction responds not to the words you speak or the thoughts you think, but to the frequency you emit. Your breath is the master tuner, setting the tone for all that follows. One autumn afternoon, a young musician arrived at George's workshop. Her shoulders carried the weight of shattered dreams, her breath shallow and discordant. Without a word, George guided her to his finest piano. "Place your hand here," he instructed, resting her palm against the piano's wooden heart. "Now breathe with the note." He struck a perfect A, letting it ring. "Feel how the vibration changes as you alter your breath." As she synchronized her breath with the piano's resonance, something shifted in the room. The air grew thick with possibility, and tears began to flow freely down her cheeks. In that moment, she understood what George had known all along, that reality arranges itself around the frequency of your breath before it responds to your desires. This ancient truth reveals itself in every moment. Your breath is the tuning fork of existence. Before thought shapes circumstance, before words create worlds, your breath sets the frequency that reality must match. Just as a piano string vibrates in sympathy with its neighbors, the universe aligns with the song of your breath. Sacred practice. Choose a piece of music that stirs your soul, one that resonates deep within your being and awakens something ancient and knowing. For 7 sacred minutes, breathe in perfect rhythm with its melody, allowing each inhalation and exhalation to dance with the notes as they unfold. Let your breath become one with the music's pulse, its rising and falling, its crescendos and gentle passages. Then sit in complete silence for 3 minutes, maintaining the same breathing pattern you established. As you do, feel how the space around you transforms, how the very molecules of air seem to vibrate differently in response to your conscious breath. Notice how the energy within and around you shifts, as though invisible threads of light are weaving new patterns through the fabric of existence. Your breath has just tuned the frequency of your reality, adjusting the cosmic strings that connect you to the infinite possibilities that await. Chapter 6. The Rhythm of the Universe. In a garden where time moved by breath rather than minutes, there lived a woman named Iris who understood the ancient rhythms of growth. Each morning, as the first light touched the horizon, she would pause at her garden gate, feeling the pulse of the earth beneath her feet. You have forgotten what Iris remembered, that your breath dances with celestial forces far greater than any calendar or clock. The universe breathes in cycles of expansion and contraction, just as your own lungs mirror this eternal pattern. This wisdom, etched in the stars above, flows through every living thing. When you breathe in harmony with these cosmic rhythms, you tap into the natural order that governs all creation. Your inhale is a sacred receiving, drawing in life force as the moon draws the tides. Your exhale is divine giving, releasing into the flow as flowers release their seeds to the wind. Iris knew that plants, like prayers, flourish when aligned with heaven's breath. She taught that success in any endeavor comes not from forcing time, but from flowing with it. The garden is your mirror, showing you how natural law operates through cycles of rest and growth, dormancy and bloom. One spring evening, a young woman named Maya sought Iris's guidance. Maya's garden, despite her diligent efforts, remained stubbornly barren. "You fight time," Iris observed gently. "Let us breathe with the moon instead." Under Iris's guidance, Maya learned to sync her gardening with lunar phases. She sowed seeds on the inhale of the new moon, tended growth with the expanding breath of the waxing phase, and harvested with the exhale of the full moon. Gradually, her garden transformed from a place of struggle to one of abundant harmony. This truth extends beyond the garden. Your every creation follows the same pattern. When you breathe in rhythm with these universal cycles, you align with the very force that turns seeds into forests and dreams into reality. Sacred practice. For 3 days, greet either sunrise or sunset with this breath alignment ritual. Find a quiet space outdoors where you can witness the changing light. As the sun moves across the horizon, breathe slowly and deeply. On the inhale, receive the golden light into your being. On the exhale, merge your breath with the shifting shadows. Let your breath become one with this eternal dance of light and darkness, feeling yourself part of nature's endless rhythm. With each cycle of breath, imagine yourself as a living bridge between earth and sky. Notice how the sun's journey mirrors your own daily transitions, the dawn of new beginnings, the setting of what must be released. Allow your body to attune to these cosmic movements, understanding that you too are a celestial being walking an earthly path. This simple practice will gradually awaken you to the subtle rhythms that have guided seekers since time immemorial. Chapter 7. The Belief Hidden in Every Breath. In the highest room of the ancient clock tower, Frank began each evening with a ritual passed down through generations of timekeepers. As the massive gears turned above, marking another hour's passing, he would stand at the western window and draw in a single, measured breath. You may wonder what power lies in this simple act. Yet within Frank's breath lived a truth that shaped not only his reality but the very fabric of time itself. Each inhale carried his unwavering belief that time was not a harsh master, but a faithful ally. The breath you take right now holds every belief you've ever formed about your reality. Like invisible threads woven through the air, these beliefs travel on each inhale and exhale, silently programming your experience. Most breathe unconsciously, letting old patterns and limiting beliefs dictate their relationship with time, abundance, and possibility. When you breathe without awareness, you perpetuate the very beliefs that may be holding you back. Your shallow breath might whisper, "There's never enough time," while a constricted exhale could be repeating, "I'm always running behind." These unconscious breath patterns become self-fulfilling prophecies, manifesting exactly what you believe to be true. One stormy night, as the clock tower's mechanisms jammed at precisely midnight, Frank faced a crisis that would test everything he knew about time and breath. Instead of succumbing to panic, he closed his eyes and altered his breathing pattern. Rather than the short, sharp breaths of emergency, he chose long, steady inhales that spoke of infinite possibility. In that moment, time seemed to expand around him, creating space where there appeared to be none. The solution emerged not from rushing, but from this newfound breath of trust. This moment revealed a universal truth. When you change your breath, you change the beliefs running silently in the background of your life. Each new breathing pattern creates an opening for different possibilities to emerge. Sacred practice. Take a moment now to write down one limiting belief that has shaped your reality, a thought that has held you back from embracing your true potential. Sit in stillness and observe your current breathing pattern, noticing how it reflects the tension of this old belief. Now, begin to breathe slowly and deeply while whispering the opposite truth, allowing each word to resonate with the power of ancient wisdom. Let each breath carry this new belief into the fabric of your being, weaving it through every cell, every thought, every possibility that exists within you. Continue this sacred practice until you feel a shift in your energy field, a lightness, an opening, a remembering of who you truly are. Trust in this process, for it has transformed seekers of truth since time immemorial. Chapter 8. From Struggle to Flow. In a small village where the scent of fresh bread drew people from miles around, there lived a baker named Millie. Each morning, as the line of customers grew longer outside her shop, her breath grew shorter, matching the frantic pace of her thoughts. You see, Millie had mastered every technique of baking, yet she had not learned the art of allowing. Her hands moved swiftly, measuring and mixing with precision, but her breath revealed a deeper truth. She was trying to control what needed to flow. When you breathe from a place of urgency, you send ripples of resistance through the universal field. Like water that becomes murky when stirred too vigorously, your energy becomes clouded when breath is forced through fear or strain. The universe responds not to your action, but to your vibration. The sacred law teaches that breath is the gateway between effort and ease. As you inhale, you open to receive. As you exhale, you release the need to manage every outcome. This surrender is not weakness. It is alignment with the natural order that governs all creation. One autumn morning, Millie found herself entering the regional baking competition. Instead of her usual rushed preparations, she paused at her workstation. Taking 3 slow breaths, she allowed her body to soften. With each inhale, she felt the tension in her shoulders dissolve. With each exhale, she released her grip on the outcome. Something shifted in that moment. Her movements became fluid, guided by an inner knowing rather than anxious thought. The ingredients seemed to combine themselves, her hands moving in perfect harmony with an unseen rhythm. When the judges announced her as the winner, Millie understood. Her victory came not from forcing, but from flowing. This truth extends beyond baking. In every area of life, the breath of surrender creates an opening through which miracles naturally flow. When you cease struggling against what is, you become a channel for what could be. Sacred practice. Before beginning any task that typically creates tension or urgency, pause. Take 3 conscious breaths. On the first breath, feel your feet connecting to the earth, allowing its ancient wisdom to ground and steady you. On the second breath, soften your shoulders and jaw, releasing the armor you have built against uncertainty. On the third breath, whisper these words: "Flow finds me." Let this practice remind you that true power lies not in forcing, but in allowing. Notice how this simple ritual shifts your energy from one of striving to one of receiving. In these moments of conscious connection, you align with the infinite intelligence that orchestrates the cosmos. Through surrender, you become a vessel through which divine grace naturally moves, transforming mere action into sacred participation. Chapter 9. Breathing through the fog of doubt. In the twilight of his career, Howard sat in his dimly lit study, surrounded by the props and illusions that had once dazzled audiences. Yet, as you will discover, his greatest revelation came not from sleight of hand, but from the subtle power of breath. Through decades of performing, Howard had mastered the art of misdirection, leading audiences to question their own eyes. But in the quiet moments between shows, a deeper truth emerged. While his tricks created temporary wonder, they also fed the mind's tendency to doubt what it cannot explain. You must understand, doubt is not the enemy of truth, but rather a veil of mental fog that obscures your inner knowing. This fog thickens with each question the mind poses, each demand for proof, each refusal to trust what cannot be seen. Yet breath remains the constant clarifier. the faithful companion that parts these mists of uncertainty. When you breathe consciously, you step beyond the realm of intellectual debate. Your breath carries no argument, presents no theory, demands no proof. It simply is. And in this simple being, it demonstrates the most fundamental truth, that life flows through you without requiring your permission or understanding. One evening, a young, aspiring magician came to Howard, seeking to learn the secrets of his most impressive illusions. Instead of revealing his tricks, Howard invited the youth to sit in silence. "Before you learn to deceive the eyes," he said, "learn to trust what lies beyond sight." He guided the young man to breathe slowly, deeply, without analysis or expectation. At first, the youth's mind raced with questions, theories, and doubts, but with each breath, the mental chatter grew quieter. In that space of pure breathing, something shifted. The fog of skepticism began to lift, revealing a clarity that no logical explanation could provide. This experience mirrors your own journey. When you cease questioning and simply breathe, you touch a wisdom that precedes all doubt. Your breath knows what your mind struggles to accept, that the greatest magic lies not in creating illusions, but in dissolving them. Ancient practice. Find a quiet space where you will not be disturbed, a sanctuary where the whispers of the world fall silent. Settle into a comfortable position, allowing your body to sink naturally into stillness, and gently close your eyes. For the next few moments, engage in 5 complete breath cycles, each one drawing you deeper into the ancient wisdom that lives within your very being. With each breath, mentally repeat the sacred phrase, "I trust what breath reveals." Let each word float naturally with your breath, like leaves drifting on a peaceful stream, making no effort to analyze or question the experience. Release all need to understand or control. Simply breathe and trust, for in this pure state of acceptance, the veils between you and universal truth grow thin. Your breath becomes a bridge to wisdom that transcends the logical mind. Chapter 10. The Threshold of Remembering. In a small workshop filled with the scent of beeswax and lavender, Esther crafted candles that illuminated countless homes. Each flame she shared brought light to others, yet she remained caught in shadows of her own making. Through years of serving others' needs, she had forgotten the sacred rhythm of her own breath. One night, as moonlight spilled through dusty windows, Esther dreamed of a flame that danced to the rhythm of ancient breath. In this vision, she saw herself not as the maker of light, but as light itself, pure, flowing, unbound by the constraints of service. You have walked through many doorways of breath wisdom. Through silence, you learn to hear the whispers of divine instruction. Through intention, you discovered how breath shapes reality. Through rhythm, you aligned with nature's pulse. Through surrender, you found that letting go draws abundance near. Through belief, you witnessed how breath carries truth into form. Now you stand at the threshold of remembrance. The breath that moves through you is not merely air. It is the original force of creation, the same power that ignites stars and nurtures seeds. When you breathe consciously, you participate in the eternal dance of becoming. As Esther approached her final candle of the day, something shifted. Instead of moving through her familiar motions, she paused. Placing both hands on her work table, she closed her eyes and breathed deeply, not as the candle maker, but as the flame itself. As she poured the wax, her breath moved in perfect harmony with the flowing golden liquid. When she lit the wick, the flame flickered in a pattern that matched her breathing, as if recognizing its kin. This moment holds a mirror to your journey. Like Esther, you have given much of yourself to the world. Yet the greatest gift you can offer is the recognition of your own divine breath. The flame of your breath has always burned within, waiting for you to remember its sacred nature. Sacred practice. Find a quiet space where you won't be disturbed and light a pure white candle. Take 3 deep conscious breaths to center yourself in this sacred moment. Feel how each inhalation draws divine energy into your being, while each exhalation releases what no longer serves you. On a clean piece of paper, write your heartfelt vow to honor the sacred breath within you, the very essence that connects you to the infinite. Hold this paper tenderly in your hands and breathe as if you are welcoming home a long-lost friend, one who has carried your deepest truths through countless lifetimes. Let each breath feel like a remembrance of your original nature, a return to the pure awareness that has always resided in your soul. Stay with this practice until the candle's flame speaks to something ancient within you, until you sense that eternal spark recognizing itself in the dancing light before you. In this moment of profound connection, you become both the seeker and that which is sought. Part 2. Breathing the Divine into Form. Chapter 11. The Breath of the Sage. High in the misty peaks where few dare to venture, Lewis made his home in a simple dwelling carved into the mountain face. Those who sought him out, expecting lengthy discourses on enlightenment, found only a man who sat in silence, breathing with the ancient rocks. One autumn morning, as golden light painted the peaks, 3 travelers climbed the winding path to his door. They carried questions about purpose, destiny, and truth. Lewis welcomed them without words, gesturing only for them to sit beside him on worn cushions facing the vast expanse of sky. For hours they waited for him to speak, but Lewis simply breathed, deep, rhythmic breaths that seemed to pulse with the mountain itself. As the sun traced its arc across the heavens, something shifted in the air. The travelers found their own breathing naturally aligning with his, and in that alignment, their questions began to dissolve like morning frost. You too hold this power within your breath. When you cease seeking answers outside yourself and instead turn to the wisdom of your own breath, truth emerges unbidden. Your breath carries ancient knowledge that precedes thought, precedes question, precedes doubt. Through countless ages, the breath has served as the bridge between the seen and unseen realms. It flows through you as pure consciousness, requiring no interpretation, no analysis, no validation. Each breath is a direct line to divine wisdom, if only you would trust its silent guidance. As evening approached the mountain, Lewis stood and walked to the edge of his dwelling's entrance. There, where wind met stone, he stood in perfect stillness. His breath merged with the mountain winds, becoming indistinguishable from the natural forces around him. One of the travelers watching this communion suddenly felt tears stream down their face as understanding flooded their being, not through thought or teaching, but through pure knowing. This moment mirrors your own potential for revelation. The breath you draw now contains all wisdom, all truth, all knowing. No external teacher can give you what your breath already holds. Sacred practice. Find a quiet space where you will remain undisturbed, a sacred sanctuary where the veils between worlds grow thin. Sit comfortably, letting your body settle into a position of natural ease, and allow your eyes to close gently. For the next 5 minutes, breathe slowly and deeply, letting each breath become a bridge between the visible and invisible realms. Ask nothing, seek nothing. Simply allow your breath to flow naturally as you listen with your entire being, body, mind, and spirit united in perfect attention. Notice what arises in the silence between thoughts, in the space between breaths, for it is in these sacred pauses that the deepest wisdom dwells. Trust that whatever emerges is your own inner wisdom speaking through the ancient language of breath, a knowledge as old as the mountains themselves, waiting patiently to be remembered. Let each moment of stillness reveal another layer of truth that has always resided within you. Chapter 12. Inhale the vision, exhale the fear. In a sunlit studio where canvas and color once danced with life, a story of transformation awaits your understanding. Doris, whose brushes lay untouched since her beloved's passing, lived in the shadows of what was rather than the light of what could be. Each morning, she would stand before blank canvases, her breath shallow with remembered pain. Yet within her dwelled a truth waiting to emerge, one that would teach you the sacred relationship between breath, vision, and creation. Your breath holds two powers. It can carry forward your fears, or it can propel your deepest visions into reality. When you breathe from fear, you paint your world in the colors of limitation. But when you breathe with vision, you become the artist of unlimited possibility. The universe responds not to what your mind thinks, but to what your breath carries. As you inhale, you draw in pure potential. As you exhale, you release what stands between you and your desires. This is the ancient wisdom that Doris discovered one dawn when something shifted in her studio. Standing before her canvas, she began to breathe differently. Instead of inhaling anxiety, she drew in the vision of what she wished to create. With each exhale, she released another layer of resistance. Her brush strokes began to flow with this new rhythm, and the paintings that emerged carried a light that touched all who viewed them. Months later, Doris entered her work in the regional art exhibition, but this time she approached her canvas differently. With each breath, she infused her vision into every color, every stroke. She wasn't painting to win. She was breathing life into possibility itself. Her piece not only won first place, but sparked a movement in the local art community, inspiring others to create from vision rather than limitation. This truth now beckons to you. The breath that carries your vision holds more power than the breath that carries your doubt. When you consciously breathe life into what you wish to create, rather than what you fear might happen, reality begins to mirror your inner artwork. Sacred practice. Find a quiet, sacred space where you won't be disturbed, a corner of your home that feels peaceful and aligned with your purpose. Close your eyes gently and form a clear, radiant image of what you wish to manifest in your mind's eye. See it with such clarity that you can almost touch it. As you inhale deeply through your nose, Draw this vision deep into the very core of your being, letting it fill every cell of your body. As you exhale slowly through your mouth, silently affirm with conviction, "I let go of what blocks me." Feel the resistance dissolving with each breath. Continue this breath pattern for 7 sacred cycles, allowing each inhalation and exhalation to make your vision more vivid, more real, more alive within you. With each cycle, notice how the energy of possibility grows stronger, how your connection to this future reality deepens and crystallizes in your consciousness. Chapter 13. The Breath That Speaks in Symbols. In the hushed corridors of an ancient library, where wisdom sleeps between leather-bound chapters, you will discover a truth about the language of symbols. Here, Wayne walks his nightly rounds, his footsteps echoing through halls where knowledge whispers from shadowed shelves. Each night, as you too shall learn, Wayne practices something remarkable. Between the towering stacks of rare manuscripts, he pauses to breathe deeply, allowing the sacred air of centuries to fill his lungs. It was through this simple act that the veil between worlds began to thin. You see, your breath is more than mere air. It is the key that unlocks the picture language of the soul. When Wayne first began experiencing vivid dreams filled with ancient symbols, he understood that his conscious breathing had opened a doorway to understanding beyond words. The universe speaks first in images, not language. Your breath, when drawn with intention, creates space for these divine pictures to emerge. Just as the ancient mystics knew, each inhale invites wisdom, and each exhale clears the mirror of your mind. One evening, a young woman named Sarah wandered the library's halls, troubled by recurring dreams she couldn't comprehend. Wayne recognized the familiar look of someone carrying an unread message from their soul. Together they sat in the quiet corner where the oldest books rested. In shared silence, their breath became one with the library's own rhythm. As their minds cleared, Sarah's dream symbols began to arrange themselves into clear meaning, like stars aligning to form a constellation. This is the power that awaits within your own breath. When you breathe with presence, the symbols of your inner world rise to meet you. They bypass the guardian of logic and speak directly to your soul's understanding. Sacred practice. As you prepare for sleep tonight, find a quiet space where you can be fully present with yourself. Draw 5 slow, intentional breaths, allowing each one to ground you more deeply in this sacred moment. With each inhale, silently ask your breath to reveal what you need to know through a dream or symbol, trusting that the universe speaks in the language of your soul. With each exhale, release all expectation of how this wisdom might appear, letting go of any preconceived notions of what form your answers should take. Trust that your breath will carry your question into the realm where answers dawn like morning light. For the ancient ones knew that between sleep and waking lies a bridge to profound understanding. In this liminal space, the whispers of truth find their way to those who listen with an open heart. Chapter 14. Awakening the Light Within. In a small coastal town where the sea breeze carries whispers of forgotten songs, you will find a story about the breath of light. May, once celebrated for her voice that could fill grand halls with pure resonance, now lives in silence. Not the peaceful kind, but the heavy silence that follows loss. Through decades of performing, May understood that breath was the foundation of song. Yet when grief wrapped its dark cloak around her heart, she forgot this eternal truth. Her breath became shallow, her voice a mere shadow of its former brilliance. You must understand, your breath carries more than air. It is pure life force, radiant energy waiting to illuminate your being. When you breathe unconsciously, dimmed by pain or fear, you restrict the flow of this divine light. May discovered this truth anew one autumn evening. In her music room, where sheet music gathered dust on the piano, she began to breathe differently. Not from her throat, where the grief sat like a stone, but from her heart, the sacred chamber of light. Each breath became a gentle awakening. With every inhale she drew in not just air, but golden light. With every exhale, shadows of pain dissolved. This is the alchemy of conscious breathing. It transforms heavy energy into pure radiance. One evening, during a small gathering of friends, May felt called to sing again. As she drew her first conscious breath, something extraordinary occurred. The room filled with a luminescence that seemed to emanate not from any lamp, but from within her very being. As her voice soared, those present witnessed the physical manifestation of a soul reclaiming its light through breath. You hold this same power within you. Your breath is the switch that activates your inner radiance. When you breathe with intention into your heart space, you kindle a light that no external circumstance can dim. Sacred practice. Find a quiet space where you will not be disturbed and sit comfortably, allowing your body to settle into a position of peaceful alertness. Place your right hand upon your heart center, establishing this sacred connection between your conscious touch and the spiritual core of your being. Inhale deeply for 4 counts, feeling your chest rise beneath your palm like a wave of pure life force. As you exhale slowly, envision a warm golden light growing brighter within your heart, much like the first rays of dawn breaking through darkness. With each breath cycle, allow this light to expand, filling your entire being with its gentle radiance, spreading from your heart to your shoulders, down your arms, through your torso, and into your legs. Continue this practice until you feel the subtle shift from darkness to light within, recognizing that you are awakening the divine spark that has always resided in your heart, waiting to illuminate your path forward. Chapter 15. When Breath and Emotion Align. In the heart of an ancient village where the ring of hammer on anvil echoes through narrow streets, you will discover a truth about the sacred marriage of breath and emotion. Calvin, whose hands bear the marks of decades at the forge, knows that true strength flows not from muscle alone, but from the depths of conscious breathing. Watch as Calvin approaches his anvil each morning. Before lifting his hammer, he stands in stillness, breathing deeply into his center. The fire before him dances in rhythm with his breath, teaching that all elements respond to this primal force. Your emotions, like molten metal, seek to be shaped. When you resist them, they harden incorrectly, creating patterns of pain and reaction. But when you breathe into their heat, they become malleable, ready for transformation. Through years of working with fire and iron, Calvin learned that suppressing emotional force only creates internal pressure. Instead, he discovered the ancient art of breathing through intensity, allowing each feeling to flow like heated metal into new forms of power. One day, his apprentice arrived at the forge, burning with anger after a bitter argument. Calvin set aside his tools and taught the young man to breathe into his rage rather than fight it. "Let your breath move through the heat of your emotion," he instructed, just as the bellows move through the forge fire. As the apprentice learned to direct his breath into his anger, something remarkable occurred. His emotional fire, rather than consuming him, began to fuel his work. That day, he crafted his finest piece yet, a delicate yet powerful sculpture that seemed to hold both strength and peace within its form. This wisdom speaks directly to your journey. Your emotions are not enemies to be conquered, but energy awaiting direction through conscious breath. When you feel intensity rising within, remember Calvin at his forge. Breathe into the heat of your feeling, neither pushing it away nor letting it rule you. Practice. Choose a strong emotion that surfaces today, perhaps anger, joy, grief, or excitement. Find a quiet space where you won't be disturbed and sit still with this feeling. For 5 minutes, breathe deeply into the sensation, allowing your breath to flow through your body like the bellows of Calvin's forge. Don't try to name the emotion or judge its presence. Simply observe how it moves within you, where it resides in your body, and how it shifts with each breath. Let it be your teacher, showing you the profound connection between your breath, your feelings, and your creative power. Chapter 16. Breathing in sync with the mind of God. In the quiet corners of an old music conservatory, where sunlight streams through stained glass and dust motes dance in golden beams, you will find Agnes at her piano. Through her eyes cannot see the keys. Her fingers know their way through darkness, guided by something far more ancient than sight. Each morning, before her first student arrives, Agnes sits in perfect stillness at the instrument. Her hands rest gently in her lap as she attunes herself not to the notes she will play, but to the sacred spaces between them. For it is in these intervals, these precious moments of silence, that the universe speaks its clearest truth. The language of creation dwells not in sound, but in the breath between sounds. This wisdom, passed down through ages, reveals that the mind of God whispers in the pauses, in the holy gap between your thoughts, between your heartbeats, between your breaths. When young Thomas arrived for his lesson, his fingers were technically perfect, but his music remained hollow. Agnes heard in his playing the familiar sound of a soul disconnected from source. "Leave the sheet music," she told him. "First, we must breathe with the silence." Together they sat, teacher and student, breathing in the sacred rhythm of life itself. "Feel how each pause contains infinite possibility," she guided. "Just as the universe breathed life into being, your breath carries the same creative force." As Thomas learned to breathe with the spaces between notes, something shifted. His rigid perfection melted into flowing grace. The music that emerged now carried something that technique alone could never teach. It carried the breath of his soul. In these moments of surrender to the divine pause, you touch the same force that moves the stars. Your breath becomes one with the eternal rhythm, and clarity arrives without effort, like dawn breaking over still waters. Sacred practice. Find a quiet space where you won't be disturbed, a sanctuary where the whispers of the world fall away. Light a candle if you wish, as the ancients did to mark sacred space. Settle into stillness for 2 minutes, allowing your awareness to rest in the silence like a leaf floating on still waters. Then, Begin the sacred breath pattern. Inhale for 4 counts, drawing in universal energy. Pause for 4 counts to commune with the infinite. Exhale for 4 counts to release all resistance. Pause again for 4 counts to dwell in possibility. Complete this cycle 4 times, feeling the presence of the divine in each pause. Let each breath become a prayer, each pause a doorway to deeper wisdom. As you practice, notice how the veil between the physical and spiritual realms grows gossamer thin, allowing divine guidance to flow freely through you. Chapter 17. The Breath Ritual of the Ancients. In the hushed halls of an ancient museum where time itself seems to pause between heartbeats, Harlan discovered a weathered scroll tucked away in a forgotten archive. His trembling fingers carefully unrolled the delicate parchment, revealing intricate breathing patterns once practiced by a forgotten priesthood. You must understand, breath is not merely air moving through flesh. When approached with sacred intent, it becomes a bridge between worlds. The ancient ones knew this truth, encoding it in rituals that transformed ordinary breathing into ceremonies of power. Within the scroll's faded symbols lay a profound distinction. Casual breathing sustains life, but intentional sacred breath work awakens it. This is the difference between walking past a temple and entering its inner sanctum. When you breathe with ceremony, you align yourself with the cosmic pulse that moves through all creation. As the sun set that evening, Harlan cleared the dust from an empty exhibition room. Following the scroll's guidance, he sat in stillness. His breath, once shallow and unconscious, deepened into the rhythm described in the ancient text. 7 breaths in, 7 breaths out, each cycle opening doorways long sealed by time. At that moment, something shifted. The boundaries between self and space dissolved. Through each sacred breath, Harlan experienced union with all that was, is, and ever shall be. This wasn't knowledge gained. It was wisdom remembered through the body's oldest language. This truth beckons to you now. The ancients left us more than words and artifacts. They left us breath patterns that, when practiced with reverence, unlock the same mysteries they once accessed. These secrets arise not through study, but through sacred repetition, through breath becoming prayer. Sacred practice. Create a simple ritual space away from distraction, choosing a quiet corner where ancient wisdom can whisper its secrets. Light a candle or burn incense to mark this time as sacred. Let the flame or fragrant smoke become your bridge between worlds. Sit comfortably, spine straight, but not rigid, and begin breathing in sets of 7. With each breath cycle, silently invoke either clarity, healing, or guidance, allowing the words to rise naturally from your heart. Let each breath become an offering to the wisdom that waits within the silence, for in these sacred moments between breaths, the universe speaks its deepest truths. Trust that as you dedicate yourself to this practice, the veils between the seen and unseen worlds grow ever thinner. Chapter 18. The Wind of Manifestation. In the gentle valleys where wheat whispers secrets to the sky, Miriam discovered a truth that would transform her modest farm into a testament of abundance. Each morning before dawn, she would stand in her fields, feeling the wind's subtle dance across her skin. Instead of fighting against the breeze or ignoring its presence, she learned to breathe in perfect harmony with its rhythm. You see, the breath carries more than oxygen. It bears the seeds of creation itself. When Miriam synchronized her breathing with the wind while planting, something extraordinary occurred. Her crops didn't merely grow. They thrived beyond all natural expectation, as if blessed by an unseen hand. This is the sacred truth that time has obscured. Your breath is the delivery system of the universe. Each inhale draws in pure potential. Each exhale sends forth your intention into the quantum field, where all possibilities exist. Just as radio waves carry sound through invisible airways, your breath carries the frequency of your desires into the fabric of reality. In the fields one autumn day, Miriam noticed a young boy watching her work. Thomas, an orphan from the nearby children's home, often wandered to the farm, drawn by some inner knowing. She beckoned him closer and taught him her secret. "Breathe with what you wish to grow," she whispered, demonstrating how to match his breath with the wind's gentle surge. Thomas closed his eyes and breathed deeply, holding in his heart the image of the family he longed for. Day after day, he returned to practice this breathing ritual in Miriam's fields. Within months, in ways none could have predicted, a couple who had lost their farm in distant lands came to work as Miriam's helpers. They met Thomas, and in him they found the son their hearts had been seeking. When you align your breath with the natural world, you tap into the very current that shapes reality. Your breath becomes the bridge between your inner vision and its outer manifestation. Sacred practice. Find a quiet space where you can feel the air move freely around you, a sanctuary where the veil between the physical and spiritual realms grows thin. Hold your desire clearly in your mind's eye. See it, feel it, know it as real and present in this sacred moment. Now, breathe slowly and deliberately, imagining each exhale carrying your vision out into the universe, like seeds scattered on a divine wind that reaches to the farthest corners of creation. With each inhale, draw in the pure energy of possibility. With each exhale, release your intention with complete trust and surrender. Continue this practice for 7 breaths, trusting that each breath delivers your intention to the fertile soil of infinite possibility, where the universe's ancient wisdom nurtures every seed of desire until it blossoms into manifested reality. Chapter 19. Undoing the Breath of the World. In the bustling streets of commerce, where time moves like a rushing river and success is measured in moments, Lloyd carried his sample case from door to door. His breath came in short, hurried bursts, the inherited rhythm of a world that values speed over presence. Each morning, he would check his watch, gulp his coffee, and step into the stream of anxiety that had become as familiar as his own heartbeat. You hold within you the breath patterns of generations, the shallow inhale of worry, the quick exhale of haste. These are not your natural rhythms. They are the accumulated habits of a society that has forgotten how to breathe with power and purpose. When you breathe from pressure and scarcity, you perpetuate their existence in your reality. Your cells remember every anxious breath, every moment of tension, creating a blueprint for more of the same. But this inheritance is not your destiny. Lloyd discovered this truth during a chance encounter with stillness. Stranded by a snowstorm in a small mountain town, he found himself with nothing to do but breathe. In that pause, he recognized how his breath carried the weight of expectations. His father's rushed morning routine, his mother's worried sighs, the collective painting of a culture always chasing more. As days turned to weeks, Lloyd began to consciously shift his breathing pattern. He replaced the short, stressed breaths of selling with long, deliberate cycles of receiving. Rather than pushing through each day, he allowed life to flow through him. Gradually, his sales conversations transformed from persuasion to genuine connection. Opportunities began finding him, as if drawn to the new frequency he emanated. Your breath is your signature in the universe. When you breathe from someone else's story, be it family, culture, or society, you sign away your authentic power. But with each conscious breath, you can rewrite this contract with reality. Ancient practice. Throughout your day, pause and ask yourself, whose breath am I breathing? Then reset with 3 deep, slow breaths, drawing the air down into your belly as though drinking from an infinite well of peace. Feel the difference between inherited patterns and your natural rhythm. Notice how societal expectations may have created shallow, hurried breathing, while your authentic breath flows like a gentle stream. Let each conscious breath reclaim your authentic way of being, releasing the tension of others' expectations with every exhale. In this sacred practice, you restore your original signature in the cosmic dance of life. Chapter 20. The Final Breath Before Mastery. In the twilight hours of a small theater, where shadows dance with memories, Lucille stands alone on stage. Her aged frame holds decades of movement, each gesture a testament to life lived through motion. As she begins her final dance, you witness something extraordinary. Each breath she takes carries both the weight of farewell and the lightness of a new beginning. Through breath, you create your reality moment by moment. Each inhale draws in possibility. Each exhale releases what no longer serves. You've learned how breath shapes thought into form, transforms emotion into power, and carries messages between worlds. Now, standing at this threshold of deeper understanding, you recognize that every breath is both an ending and a beginning. The sacred breath you've reclaimed flows through every aspect of creation. It is the tool that shapes reality, the healer that transmutes pain, the messenger that speaks to the divine, and the bridge between your mortal and eternal self. Each conscious breath realigns you with the infinite intelligence that orchestrates the cosmos. As Lucille moves through her final piece, her breath becomes visible, not as vapor, but as pure presence. Those watching feel their own breath shifting, synchronizing with something ancient and new. When she takes her final bow, she doesn't merely stop dancing. She dissolves into the breath itself, leaving behind not an absence, but a presence that continues to pulse through the theater. In this moment, you stand not as one who seeks, but as one who knows. The breath that has guided you through these chapters now invites you to step fully into your power as a conscious creator. Sacred practice. Create your own breath ritual that honors your journey. Find a quiet space where you won't be disturbed, a sacred sanctuary where the wisdom of ages can flow freely through you. Light a candle if you wish, letting its flame represent the eternal light of consciousness within. Begin with 3 slow, intentional breaths to center yourself, feeling each one dissolve the boundaries between your ordinary self and your divine nature. Then, design a sequence of breaths that feels true to your path, perhaps incorporating movements that mirror the dance of creation. sounds that echo the primordial Om, or silences that speak louder than words. Let your intuition guide you. You might choose to raise your arms with each inhalation, drawing down celestial energy, or place your hands over your heart as you exhale, blessing your own transformation. This is your rite of passage, your declaration of mastery over the breath that creates worlds. In this ritual, you claim your power as a conscious creator, acknowledging the sacred force that has moved through seekers since time immemorial. Perform this ritual before continuing to the next chapter, marking your transition from student to practitioner of these ancient truths. Trust that as you breathe with purpose, you align with the very rhythm of the universe itself. Part 3. Mastery, Breathing as the Creator. Chapter 21. The Sacred Pause. In a sunlit chamber of an old courthouse, Wallace sits with his young grandson, Thomas. The boy fidgets, eager for his grandfather's promised story about becoming wise. Instead of speaking, Wallace raises his hand, signaling silence. For several moments they simply breathe together. "Listen," Wallace whispers, "not to my words, but to the space between them." Through breath, you discover the sacred pause, the moment between moments where all possibility dwells. This space between inhale and exhale holds more wisdom than 1,000 books, more power than any decree or judgment. It is here, in this divine interval, that the universe speaks its clearest truth. When you breathe consciously, you enter the realm where time dissolves into pure potential. Each pause becomes a gateway to infinite intelligence. In this space, you release the urgency of doing and enter the power of being. Here lies the seed of every miracle, every transformation, every aligned decision. The art of divine timing reveals itself through these sacred pauses. Like a master musician who knows the value of rest between notes, your breath teaches you when to act and when to wait. Each held breath becomes a moment of communion with universal wisdom. Later that evening, Wallace faces a decision that would alter many lives. Instead of rushing to judgment, he sits in his chambers, breathing with intention. In the pause between breaths, clarity emerges like dawn, breaking through fog. The answer arrives not through thought, but through the wisdom of stillness. This breath-led mastery shows you that power often lies not in action, but in sacred restraint. When you learn to rest in the pause, you align with divine timing. Your decisions flow not from pressure or expectation, but from a place of profound knowing. Sacred practice. Find a quiet space where you will not be disturbed and settle into a comfortable position, whether seated or lying down. Begin breathing in a sacred 4-count rhythm that mirrors the eternal cycles of nature. Inhale deeply for 4 counts, drawing in universal energy. Hold for 4 counts as you embrace the fullness of being. Exhale completely for 4 counts, releasing all resistance, and hold again for 4 counts in perfect emptiness. As you practice, shift your attention away from the mechanics of breathing and place it gently in the sacred pause between breaths, that mystical threshold where all wisdom dwells. Let each hold become a moment of pure receptivity to divine guidance, a portal through which celestial knowledge may flow. Continue this practice for several minutes or until you feel complete, allowing the profound wisdom of the pause to speak directly to your heart. In these moments of sacred stillness, You open yourself to receive the answers that your soul has always known. Chapter 22. The Breath That Summons Miracles. In a remote cottage where new life often takes its first breath, Virginia tends to her herbs in the pre-dawn light. A young mother-to-be arrives early, fear etched across her face. Instead of offering immediate comfort, Virginia places her hands on the woman's shoulders and guides her to breathe in a particular rhythm, slow, deep, with a subtle pause at the peak of each inhale. You hold within you an ancient power that beckons miracles into being. This power flows not from desperate pleading or forceful will, but from the sacred rhythm of your breath. When you align your breath with pure faith, you create an opening through which the impossible becomes inevitable. The breath of miracles carries a distinct signature. It flows from a place of calm certainty rather than anxious hope. This breath pattern, passed down through generations of wise women and holy men, serves as a lighthouse for divine intervention. It signals to the universe that you stand ready, receptive, and aligned with its infinite wisdom. In the depths of night, Virginia attends a difficult birth. The infant's heartbeat grows faint, and modern medicine offers no solutions. She begins to breathe in that sacred pattern, drawing from a well of knowing deeper than fear. The room fills with an inexplicable peace, and within moments, the baby draws its first strong breath. This is not mere coincidence or chance. When you breathe with unwavering trust, you activate a field of possibility that transcends physical limitations. Your breath becomes a bridge between the visible and invisible realms, allowing miracles to manifest through you rather than by you. The key lies not in beginning the universe for intervention, but in breathing as though the miracle has already occurred. This subtle shift in your energetic signature sends ripples through the fabric of reality, creating openings for divine grace to enter. Practice. Settle into a comfortable position, allowing your body to find its natural state of ease and receptivity. Breathe slowly and deeply, feeling each breath draw you deeper into sacred stillness. As you inhale and exhale with conscious awareness, silently affirm these words of power. Miracles find me in the stillness. Let this truth resonate through every cell of your being. Then sit in perfect silence for 1 minute, knowing that in this space of quiet surrender, the seeds of miracles are already taking root within you. Trust that the universe is orchestrating countless blessings in these precious moments of peaceful communion. Chapter 23. The Breath Beyond Time. In a dimly lit workshop filled with the gentle ticking of 100 timepieces, Ernest sits hunched over his workbench. His fingers, though skilled at mending broken watches, cannot repair the weight of regret that haunts his memories. Each tick echoes like a reminder of moments he wishes he could change. Through breath, you possess a power greater than time itself. The past, present, and future exist simultaneously in the eternal now of your conscious breathing. When you understand this truth, you realize that healing doesn't require traveling backward. It requires sinking deeper into the timeless moment of now. Your breath transcends the linear nature of time. Each inhale creates a sacred space where all possibilities exist at once. In this space, transformation occurs not through the mechanical movement of clock hands, but through the divine rhythm of your breath. The universe responds not to the calendar, but to the vibration you hold in your present moment awareness. As Ernest works on a particularly challenging timepiece, he remembers the ancient breathing practice taught by his grandmother. Closing his eyes, he allows his breath to slow until it matches the rhythm of his heartbeat. In this state, a childhood memory of loss surfaces, but instead of trying to change it, he breathes into it. With each breath, the memory loses its sting, transforming not in the past, but in the eternal present. The pain that seems locked in time becomes fluid when met with conscious breath. Through this practice, Ernest experiences his childhood moment not as a fixed point in history, but as living energy ready to be reshaped by his present awareness. His breath becomes a bridge between what was and what is, dissolving the illusion of linear time. Sacred practice. Find a quiet space where time seems to pause, a sanctuary where the eternal now reveals itself. Settle into a comfortable position and close your eyes, allowing your body to sink into perfect stillness. Inhale deeply while holding a clear image of your desire as if it exists now, feeling its reality with every fiber of your being. As you exhale, let a genuine smile form on your lips and silently affirm, "It is done." Feel these words resonating through every cell of your body, carrying the vibration of absolute certainty. Allow this breath cycle to be your bridge between what seems to be and what truly is, dissolving the illusion of separation between your current awareness and your desired reality. With each conscious breath, you strengthen this sacred connection, weaving the tapestry of manifestation through the timeless power of your focused intention. Chapter 24. The Frequency of the Infinite. In a sunlit conservatory, where morning light streams through tall windows, Sylvia stands with her violin tucked beneath her chin. Her eyes remain closed, not because she needs to remember notes, but because she's listening to something deeper than music. You hold within your breath the power to tune the very fabric of existence. Just as a violin string must be perfectly tensioned to produce its true note, your breath carries the precise frequency of your desires into manifestation. This ancient wisdom reveals itself through those who have learned to breathe before they act. When you breathe consciously, you become an instrument of the divine. Each inhale attunes your being to the frequency of what you seek. Each exhale broadcasts this resonance into the quantum field of all possibilities. The universe, ever responsive to your energetic signature, begins to orchestrate circumstances that match your breath's vibration. In the heart of the city, Sylvia prepares for a performance that will touch countless souls. Before lifting her bow, she closes her eyes and breathes into pure joy. The audience watches, puzzled by her stillness. But as she begins to play, something extraordinary unfolds. Her music carries not just notes, but the very essence of joy she had breathed into being. Even those who came to criticize find themselves moved by an inexplicable lightness of spirit. This truth stands eternal. The universe responds not to your wishes or words, but to the frequency you maintain through conscious breath. When you breathe in harmony with the feeling of your fulfilled desire, you become a living magnet for its manifestation. Sacred practice. Find a quiet space where you won't be disturbed, a sacred sanctuary where your inner work can flourish undisturbed. Choose an elevated feeling, joy, peace, or love, that resonates most deeply with your soul in this moment. Close your eyes and begin to breathe slowly and deeply, allowing your chest to rise and fall in perfect rhythm with the universal pulse. With each breath, immerse yourself fully in this chosen feeling, letting it wash through you like a purifying wave. Let it fill every cell of your being for 3 complete minutes, expanding outward until your entire body vibrates with this divine frequency. This is not merely an exercise in imagination, but in becoming the very frequency you wish to attract, a living embodiment of the energy you seek to manifest in your world. Chapter 25. The Breath of the Oracle. In the quietest corner of an ancient library where dust motes dance in shafts of amber light sits Clarence. His weathered hands rest upon a leather-bound tome, yet his eyes remain closed. Those who seek him out often mistake his silence for aloofness, but those who watch closely notice how he breathes with each visitor's question before any words are spoken. The breath you draw carries wisdom beyond mortal understanding. Within its subtle current flows the answers to questions your mind has not yet formed. This knowledge, passed down through generations of mystics and sages, speaks of breath as the original oracle, the pure channel through which divine wisdom flows. When you breathe with sacred intention, you open yourself to guidance that transcends intellectual knowing. Each inhale creates space for truth to emerge. Each exhale dissolves the mental barriers that block clear vision. Your breath becomes a bridge between the visible and invisible realms, carrying messages from the infinite to the finite. A young woman once approached Clarence, her heart heavy with uncertainty about her life's direction. Instead of offering advice, he simply motioned for her to sit and breathe. "Before you speak," he whispered, "breathe as if your soul already knows." For several minutes they sat in shared silence, their breaths synchronizing with the library's ancient rhythm. When she opened her eyes, tears of recognition flowed. Her path had become clear without a single word exchanged. Your deepest questions do not require external answers. The breath itself is the oracle, carrying messages from your higher self to your conscious mind. When you learn to breathe and listen, truly listen, you access a wisdom that has been waiting patiently within you since the beginning of time. Sacred practice. Find a quiet space where you will not be disturbed, a sacred corner of your home or a peaceful spot in nature where you can fully surrender to this practice. Sit comfortably, allowing your spine to be straight but not rigid, and hold your question gently in your heart like a treasured seed waiting to sprout. Begin breathing slowly and deeply, feeling each breath move through your entire being. After several conscious breaths, when you feel centered and still, release your question into the vast space between thoughts, letting it dissolve into the infinite wisdom that surrounds you. Continue breathing mindfully for 5 minutes, allowing whatever insights, images, or sensations arise to come without judgment or analysis. Trust that your higher self is speaking through these subtle messages. When complete, take your journal and write down what your breath has revealed, knowing that the answers emerging through you carry the power of ancient truth. Chapter 26. The Sacred Exchange. In a small workshop bathed in morning light, Jean sits at her weathered sewing table. Her fingers move steadily across fabric, but it is her breath that truly guides the needle. With each stitch, she draws in pure gratitude and releases it as a blessing into the garment beneath her hands. You now approach a sacred truth. Breath is the currency of the universe. Just as air flows between giving and receiving, all of existence operates through this divine exchange. Each breath you take is both a gift and an offering, connecting you to the endless cycle of abundance. When you breathe with conscious intention, you participate in the universe's natural flow. Your inhale receives life itself. Your exhale offers your essence back to the world. This rhythm, when understood, becomes your gateway to manifesting through energetic exchange. June discovered this wisdom through her craft. Each garment she created became more than cloth and thread. It became a vessel of intention. One autumn morning, she crafted a dress for a struggling young mother, breathing love and abundance into every seam. She charged nothing, knowing the true exchange was happening through her breath. Within days, her small shop filled with new customers, each drawn by an inexplicable sense of blessing within her creations. The dress had carried her breath blessing into the world, and the universe responded in kind. This reveals the law of multiplication. What you breathe out returns magnified. Your breath, carrying genuine appreciation and generous intent, becomes a magnet for grace. The universe mirrors back what you offer through your breath. Sacred practice. Find a quiet moment today, away from the noise and demands of the world. Hold something you plan to give away, no matter how small or seemingly insignificant. It could be a book, a piece of clothing, or even a simple note of encouragement. Breathe in deep appreciation for your ability to give, for this sacred power that flows through you. As you exhale, infuse the object with pure, loving intention, letting your breath carry your highest hopes and blessings into its very essence. Give it freely, without expectation or attachment, knowing your breath has made it sacred and transformed it into a vessel of divine abundance. Watch with wonder how this offering ripples back to you in unexpected ways, for the universe always honors those who give with an open heart and conscious intention. Chapter 27. When the universe breathes you back. In a small workshop filled with half-finished inventions and scattered blueprints, Alvin stands before his workbench, shoulders tense with frustration. For months, he has tried to force his latest creation into being through sheer will. Yet tonight, something shifts as he finally releases his grip on control. You see, within every moment of surrender lies a sacred invitation. When Alvin learned to breathe in harmony with life rather than against it, his world began to move in mysterious synchronicity. Parts he needed would appear just as he thought of them. Solutions would arise in dreams. Help would manifest precisely when required. This is the deeper truth of co-creation. The universe responds not to force, but to alignment. Your breath is the bridge between your intention and infinite intelligence. When you breathe in trust and exhale control, you enter into partnership with divine timing. Consider how Alvin discovered this truth. One evening, overwhelmed by deadlines and technical obstacles, he simply stopped. He closed his eyes and began to breathe deeply, surrendering his timeline, his methods, his need to make it happen. In that space of letting go, an elderly machinist happened to walk by his open workshop door. This stranger possessed the exact knowledge Alvin had been seeking for months. What appears as coincidence is actually cosmic coherence. Your breath, when aligned with trust, creates a field of receptivity that allows universal forces to work through you rather than you working against them. This is not passive waiting. It is actively allowed. The universe is always breathing with you, matching your rhythm. When you breathe from fear or force, life reflects that tension back. But when you breathe from trust and release, reality conspires to support your highest good. Sacred practice. Throughout your day, pause regularly to breathe consciously while whispering, "I am co-creating with the universe." Notice what unfolds. Watch for the subtle ways life begins to breathe back through unexpected connections, timely assistance, or sudden clarity. Your breath is the beginning of partnership with the infinite. As you practice this sacred breathing, feel your entire being align with the eternal rhythm of creation. Let each inhale fill you with divine possibility, and each exhale releases all resistance. Morning sunlight, chance encounters, even challenges that arise, all become sacred messages when you attune to this cosmic dance. The universe speaks in whispers and synchronicities, waiting for you to recognize its constant presence. Your conscious breath opens the gateway between the seen and unseen realms, allowing miracles to flow naturally into your experience. Chapter 28. The Creator's Breath. In a sunlit studio overlooking the city, Lois stands at her drafting table, not to draw, but to breathe. Before her lies a blank page, yet in her mind, a masterpiece already exists. Through decades of creation, she discovered that true architecture begins in the breath. You have been taught that creation starts with action, with planning, with doing. Yet the ancient wisdom whispers otherwise. Before the first line is drawn, before the first stone is laid, there must be the breath of divine vision. When you breathe as a creator breathes, you tap into the same force that shapes worlds. Your breath becomes the invisible blueprint of manifestation. Just as the universe exhaled galaxies into being, your conscious breath carries the seed of creation. Watch how Lois closes her eyes, breathing deeply and steadily. Each inhale draws in pure potential. Each exhale shapes ethereal form. This is not meditation. It is creation at its most fundamental level. The building she envisions already exists in the realm of breath and energy before it manifests in matter. Years later, her granddaughter Sarah visits the studio, frustrated with a design that won't come together. Instead of offering technical advice, Lois guides her to step away from the drafting table. "Breathe first," she instructs, as if your breath is the foundation. Sarah resists initially, wanting to force the design through effort. But as she surrenders to the rhythm of intentional breathing, something shifts. The design that eluded her for weeks flows through her hands with natural grace, as if it had been waiting all along for her breath to call it forth. This is the secret that master creators have known throughout time. Before you can build in the physical world, you must first breathe life into your vision. Your breath is not separate from your creative power. It is your creative power in its purest form. Practice. Close your eyes and find a quiet space within. Let your breath become slow and purposeful, each inhale drawing in the infinite creative power of the universe. Breathe with deep intention and say these ancient words of power. I now breathe as the Creator breathes. Feel how this sacred affirmation aligns your breath with the eternal rhythm of creation itself, connecting you to the source of all manifestation. Let this breath of life flow through you freely, awakening your innate creative force. Chapter 29. The One Breath Shared by All. In the quiet dawn, Martin tends to his hives with a presence that transcends mere beekeeping. You might notice, if you watched him closely, that his breath falls into perfect harmony with the collective hum of his bees. This is no accident. It is ancient wisdom remembered through stillness. Your breath, though it may feel solitary, joins an eternal chorus. Every living being shares in this sacred rhythm. The trees, the oceans, the smallest creatures, all participate in this divine respiration. When you breathe consciously, you enter this holy communion. The bees have taught Martin what your modern world has forgotten. Breath is the language of oneness. As you inhale, countless beings inhale with you. As you exhale, the entire universe exhales in perfect synchronicity. This is not metaphor. It is the fundamental truth of existence. One autumn morning, a weary traveler stops at Martin's apiary, seeking directions. Instead of speaking, Martin motions for the stranger to stand quietly beside the hives. Together, they begin to breathe, first with uncertainty, then with growing awareness of the hive's rhythm. Minutes pass in sacred silence. When their eyes finally meet, something has shifted. The stranger's hurry has dissolved, replaced by recognition of a deeper truth. Through breath, all separation is revealed as illusion. This moment carries profound teaching. Your breath is never truly yours alone. It belongs to the great breathing of all that is. When you align your breath with this truth, artificial boundaries fade. Cultural divisions, personal conflicts, even the illusion of separateness itself, all dissolve in the unified field of conscious breathing. Sacred practice. Find a quiet space outdoors where you can be undisturbed. Remove your shoes if you wish, and let your feet connect with the sacred earth beneath you. Begin to breathe slowly and deeply, following the natural rhythm that emerges. With each inhale, feel yourself breathing with all of creation. The ancient trees reaching skyward, the clouds drifting overhead, the fertile soil teeming with life, and every living being that shares this moment with you. As you exhale, release your gratitude into this unified field of life, knowing that your breath joins the eternal dance of giving and receiving. Feel how the air that fills your lungs has traveled through countless beings before reaching you. Continue this practice until you sense your individual breath dissolving, merging with the breath of all that is, and you become aware of your place within the infinite web of existence. Chapter 30. You are the sacred breath. In the soft glow of twilight, you will find Mabel in her workshop. Though she no longer merely makes candles, she illuminates truth through presence. Where once she performed elaborate rituals to connect with sacred breath, now she simply is the breath itself. Her very presence carries the power that seekers travel miles to experience. You see, the journey you've walked through these chapters leads to this revelation. All techniques, all practices, all searching ultimately dissolves into being. Through Mabel's transformation, you witness your own potential awakening. Watch closely as she moves through her workshop. Each step, each gesture flows with divine breath, not as something she does, but as something she is. The candlelight dances with her movements, responding to the sacred current that she has become. This is what mastery looks like. No separation between breather and breath. One evening, a young woman enters Mabel's shop, carrying the familiar weight of spiritual seeking. She has studied with many teachers, practiced countless techniques. Mabel simply stands in silence, embodying the truth. As they share the space, something shifts in the seeker's awareness. The candlelight flickers, and in that moment, she sees, truly sees, that what she seeks is what she is. "I've been looking everywhere," the young woman whispers, tears flowing freely. Mabel's smile holds the wisdom of one who has completed the circle. "The breath you seek," she responds, "is what you are." This is your invitation now. All the teachings, all the parables, all the practices have led to this moment of recognition. You are not the seeker of breath. You are the breath itself. The power you've been cultivating is not separate from your being. It is your essence, your truth, your very nature. Sacred practice. Find a quiet space where you won't be disturbed, a sacred corner where the world's clamor fades away. Close your eyes gently, as though drawing a soft veil between yourself and external distractions. Allow your breath to move naturally, effortlessly, like waves upon the eternal shore. With each breath cycle, speak this truth internally. I am the breath, the power, the presence. Let these words resonate through every cell of your being, each syllable carrying the weight of ancient wisdom. Continue for 7 full breaths, letting each affirmation dissolve the illusion of separation between you and the divine breath. Feel how the distinction between breather and breath begins to blur until you recognize that you have always been one with this sacred force. This is not merely an exercise. It is a remembrance of your true nature. Conclusion. You are no longer the seeker knocking at wisdom's door. You have become the doorway itself. Through these chapters, through each story and breath, you have remembered what was never truly forgotten. The ancient knowing has awakened within you, not as something learned, but as something reclaimed. Each breath you take now carries the power of creation itself. Where once you searched for techniques and methods, now you embody the very force that gives life to dreams. This is not about practicing anymore. It is about being. You are the breath that shapes reality, the presence that turns possibility into form. The universe recognizes your frequency now, not as a student attempting to master its laws, but as a conscious creator aligned with its flow. Your breath is no longer separate from the divine current that moves through all things. It is that current expressing through your unique form. Let this truth settle deeply. You are not trying to attract or manifest anymore. You are the attractor, the manifester, the living bridge between spirit and matter. Each breath you take is a declaration of this power, each moment an expression of your divine authority. The signs and synchronicities that once seemed like miracles now flow naturally through your experience because you have become the miracle itself. Your presence alone shifts energy, transforms circumstances, opens doors that seem locked by time and circumstance. You need no external validation or proof. Your life itself is the testament to this awakening. As you move through your days, reality responds not to what you do, but to who you have become. The breath that once seemed like a tool has revealed itself as your very essence. This is not the end of a journey, but the beginning of true creation. You are the breath that time tried to bury, now fully awakened, fully embodied, fully expressed. Your journey doesn't end here. Click on this next audiobook that I promise will completely transform your perspective.